pain or discomfort as in joint pain. Muscular discomfort entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch, stop and stretch, stop and rest, and then join in again when you're ready to do so. Setting up your position. If you're seated, see if you can try and pick yourself up. We're sitting up a little bit straighter, easing the compression into the belly to encourage that nice relaxed belly breath, that nice relaxed diaphragmatic breathing. If you're lying down, using the floor, using the mat to help you relax. So letting the head, the shoulders, the hips, the legs, the arms relax it down onto the mat. See if I can start directing the breath down into the belly. So feeling the belly expanding, feeling the belly raising on the inhale, and then falling, relaxing on the exhale. Not because I'm trying to actively push the belly out, because the breath is doing that for me. So see if I can soften through the front of the chest, relax the neck, the shoulders, the arms. And then as I feel the breath is a little bit calmer, feels a little bit easier, then just running a quick scan over the body. So as usual, noticing how the pressure is. So if I'm seated, notice the pressure between the seat bones. Is it the same pressure? Does it feel as if I'm carrying more weight on one side than the other? Am I slightly twisted? Is my head centered? Am I slightly forward? Am I slightly back? If you're laying down, notice the pressure at the back of the hips, at the back of the shoulders. Notice the pressure at the back of the head. Does it feel centered? Is the head slightly turned? Is it slightly off to one side? And the same as usual, we're not changing anything, just noticing where everything is and how we feel to begin with the session. As I start feeling a little bit more settled, a little bit calmer, the breath feels a little bit easier, a little bit more relaxed, and then I'm going to start focusing on the neck. I'm going to start turning the head from one side to the other. So I'm going to turn to look around to the right shoulder, easing back to the center, and then I'm going to turn to look to the left. So if you're lying down, the shoulders will be resting on the floor. So it's very likely that the shoulders are not going to be moving. It is going to be just the head. If I'm seated, there is nothing preventing me from moving my shoulders, as my back is not against anything. So the tendency, if the neck is stiff, is to turn the shoulders too. So see if you can, with the corner of your eye, check that the shoulders are staying in the same position. It's just the head that is moving on top. And then comparing right to a left side, I feel that I can turn a little bit with a little bit more ease when I go one way. It feels a little bit harder when I go the other way. I'm just going to focus on the stiffer side to see if I can try and ease some of the tension, some of the stiffness away. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to turn the head to look over the right shoulder. I'm going to hold it there. With the right hand, I'm just going to rest against the side of the jaw, the side against the cheek. And then I'm just going to apply a gentle pressure to help me turn the head a little bit further. I'm going to hold on to that pressure for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to ease on the pressure. I'm going to turn the head back to the middle. I'm going to look over that left shoulder, and then with the left hand, again, gentle pressure to the side of the jaw. See if I can turn the head a little bit further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then easing the pressure, turning the head back to the middle. I'm going to try again to the right. So turning the head to the right, I'm going to press the hand onto the side of the jaw, see if I can turn the head a little bit further. And then this time, if I feel that the the rotation is okay, it doesn't feel sore, it doesn't feel painful, then I might try and push the left shoulder back. So I'm going to try and turn the head to the right and then push that left shoulder away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then easing the tension, returning the head back to the middle. Turning the head to look over the left shoulder, left hand onto the cheek, little pressure to turn, and then if I can with the right shoulder, I'm going to draw back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and easing back, returning the head back to the middle, giving the head, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, and then from rotation I'm going to go into lateral flexion. So this time I'm going to try and bring the right ear to the right shoulder, the left ear to the left shoulder. So I'm going to flex to the right, ease back to the center, and then move to the left. Ease back to the center, and then over to the other side. Making sure that the movement is not causing pinching. There is no pain shooting down the arms, there is no tingling into the fingers, into the hands. And then same as I did for the rotation, noticing difference between the right and the left side. I feel that on one side I can go with a little bit more ease. On the other side it feels definitely tighter. The tension is different as well. On one side I can feel it almost like into the back of the neck more. Onto the other side I can feel it more into the front or just under the ear. So notice, make sure that the nose is always pointing forward, so the head is not turning this time. The head is still facing forward. I'm just dropping it to one side, bringing it back, and then taking it the other way. 3, 2, 1. Easing back to the middle, I'm going to drop the right ear down to the right shoulder. So I'm going to lengthen down the left side of the neck. Now keep the head in that position, and then this time think of depressing your left shoulder. So I'm going to press the shoulder down and away from the head. I should be feeling a little bit more traction down the side of the neck. I'm going to hold onto that tension for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease that tension, returning the head back to the middle. Left ear to the left shoulder. And then I'm going to depress the right shoulder. Press it down and away, a little bit more stretch that from the top of the shoulder comes up the side of the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease the tension, returning back to the middle. We're going to try one more time on each side. If I feel that I can stretch a little bit deeper, this time I'm going to use the hand to help me. So right ear to the right shoulder. I'm going to depress the left shoulder, press it down and away. And then if I'm going to use the hand, I'm going to hook the right hand around the side of the head, and then imagine to be pulling the ear and the shoulder away from each other. So the shoulder drop, and then the ear is going to start moving away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ease that tension, returning the head back to the middle. Adjust the shoulders if you need to. Left ear to the left shoulder, depressing the right shoulder. And then if I want the stretch to be a little bit stronger, hooking the left hand around the side of the head and gently pull it away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back, returning the head back to the middle, retesting the rotation, so turning the head gently from side to side and noticing if anything has changed, if the movement hopefully feels a little bit easier, a little bit looser. I might even be able to turn the head a little bit further, and then returning the head back to the middle. We're going to start moving down into the upper back and the arms. I'm going to use both arms together. I'm going to start coming up into a full front raise. So I'm going to raise the arms up to the front, and then I'm going to reach them up and back as far as I can. And then I'm just going to release them back by the side. Now, whether you're lying down or sitting up, see if you can encourage extension into the upper back. So as the arms are coming up, as they start getting kind of like a shoulder level, see if you can think of the chest lifting, the back of the rib cage lifting, so that I can extend through the back and then move through the shoulder. So if I'm seated, I'm going to try and push my chest forward and up as the arms come up to the ceiling, towards the ceiling. If I'm lying down, I'm going to push the chest towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to take the arms back. Then I'm going to release the rib cage, release the arms, and then try again. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and release back, adjusting the shoulders, relaxing the arms, and then I'm going to change the direction. From extension, I'm going to go into flexion. So you can use the ball or the pillow against the front of the chest. So I'm going to rest the ball against the front of the chest, and then imagine to be wrapping your head and your shoulders around the ball. So if I'm lying down, I'll be lifting my head off the ground, I'll be curling myself into the ball, and then I'm just going to ease my way back down. I could use one hand to help me support the head as I come forward, and then release back. So imagine to be taking the shape of the ball. So I'm going to try and round myself into the ball. So mobilizing the thoracic spine. If you're lying down, it's a little work into the abdominals as well to lift the head and the shoulders. If you're seated, making sure that it's your torso that is moving, so it's your rib cage that is rounding, and then releasing back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, adjusting the rib cage, adjusting the head. There's a little bit more movement, flexion, extension. We're going to try and get into rotation. So I'm going to push the ball, push the foot into the side, and then I'm just going to start to swinging around. So bring the arms to the front. I'm just going to swing them around to the right, front, come back to the center, and then over to the left. Think of that nice rotation from side to side. So I'm turning and then turning the other way, turning and then turning the other way. So if I'm seated, imagine your spine to be like a paw planted on the chair. I'm going to try and rotate around the paw. I'm not bending the paw out of shape. If you're lying down, Think of finding a nice, easy rocking movement that is going to allow you to roll from one over to the other shoulder, from one over to the other shoulders. The hips are not moving, so they're not lifting off the ground. I'm going to keep them fixed so that the movement is coming from my torso, from my upper back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, returning the body back to the center. And then I'm going to try and see if I can create just a little bit more stretch at the back of the shoulder. So I'm going to bring the right arm up towards the chest. I'm going to hold either above or below the elbow joint. Don't hold on the elbow, that will lock the elbow, so it will put pressure on the elbow. So I'm just going to hold above or below. And then pulling the arm across the front of the chest, and then I'm going to try and turn towards the left as far as I can, as far as I can feel a nice stretch that goes from the arm around the back of the shoulder towards the middle of the back. Now, if you try and keep the shoulder, that right shoulder depressed, so if I try to keep it down and away, that wraps the stretch, take the stretch a little bit more into the back of the shoulder. If the shoulder come up to my chin, to my head, that takes the stretch away. So see if I can press the shoulder down, hug the arm into the chest, and then I'm going to take it with me as I turn to the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release and back. Relaxing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. I'm going to try and open up to the other side. So the left arm comes up in front, holding above or below the elbow joint. I'm going to pull the arm towards the chest, depressing the shoulder, press it down and away. And then I'm going to turn, taking the arm with me as I rotate to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release and back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, just a little bit more movement into the upper back too. I'm going to add one more movement through the thoracic spine. I'm going to go into a lateral flexion. So if you're lying down, you might want to support the head so that the neck doesn't stiffen up. I'm going to go into a side reach. So with the right arm, I'm going to reach down the right side, pulling myself back to the center. With the left arm, I'm going to pull down the left side and then back to the center. Imagine the usual 2 sets of pulleys coming down the side of the waist. So the right side is pulling me down, the left side is stretching out. As I come back, the left side is going to recoil back, the right is going to open up. Then I'm going to pull down with the left, stretch out to the right, back to the center, and then over to the other side. So switching from one side to the other. If you're on your back, taking the head, the shoulders with you, reaching down with one arm, coming back or switching over, and then I'm going to reach down the other side. So feeling the obliques working the side, and then if you're laying down, even the front of the belly to help you maintain the head just slightly lifted from the ground so it doesn't drag along the floor, it doesn't rub along the mat. 6. Find a breath that works for you. 5. 4. 3. 2. One more time on each side. And releasing back, releasing the shoulders, adjusting the back, giving the head a gentle roll, making sure that there is no tension left into the neck. And then working down into the hips and into the lower back. I'm going to start with a little pelvic tilt. So think of the flexion that you practice through the thoracic. This time I want the flexion to happen into the lumbar, so down into the lower back. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back and then pressing the lower back gently into the mat. And then I'm going to go back into neutral. So I'm going to tilt and release the tilt. As if you were massaging along the back of the hips and the back of the pelvis. This is a nice easy movement. I'm not forcing, I'm not clenching my bum, I'm not gripping with my neck, I'm not stiffening the jaw. Just to see if I can create a little bit movement of softness into the lower back, especially if I tend to be quite stiff into the lumbar spine. Feeling the belly tensing to create that little tilt and then relaxing back into neutral. If you're seated exactly the same, imagine your back to be against the wall. I'm going to tilt the pelvis and then see if I can press my lower back into that imaginary wall. And then I'm just going to pull it away. So I'm going to rock back towards the tailbone, and then I'm going to come forward onto the seat bench. Rock back towards the tailbone, and then forward into the seat bench. So just gently moving down at the bottom, drawing the belly in, connecting into the pelvic floor. Think of that gentle lift coming up from your front passage. Trying to keep that pressure contained, making sure that it's not pushing against your pelvic floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Now that the lower back feels a little bit looser, hopefully, I'm going to try and see if I can get into a little hip hinge. So this time the back of the pelvis is going to keep flat against the floor or against that imaginary wall. What I'm going to do is just trying to hitch the right hip up towards the right side of the rib cage, the left hip up to the left side of the rib cage. So still working into the obliques or working into the side of the belly, but this time instead of pulling the body down towards the leg, I'm going to try and pull the hip up towards the body. So if you're seated, imagine to be walking your seat bone up and down, on and off the chair. If you're lying down, as you're hitching up on one side, you should be feeling the pelvis moving slightly in that direction. As you hitch up on the other side, it should be moving gently the other way. So imagine like a little pendulum, just gently swinging from right to left, from left back to right again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back to the middle. Adjusting the hips, so lower back is feels a little bit looser. I'm going to see if I can start getting into the arms and the legs. So starting with the arms first, I want to try and release into the wrist, into the elbow, into the shoulder. So I'm going to interlock the fingers, and then I'm going to turn the palms to face away from me. Then from there, I'm just going to start pushing the palms and pushing the arms forward to see if I can straighten them. And then I'm just going to release and then bring them back. So push the palms away, straightening the arms as much as I can, and then release and come back. So think of a nice stretch that goes from the palm of the hand down into the forearm, through the arm, just making sure that the movement is not causing pain into the wrist. So I'm going to push away the arms just as far as I feel that my wrist can't take the pressure. If I feel that it's too sore, I'm just going to stop before it starts becoming uncomfortable, before it starts turning into pain. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then last one, I'm going to hold it out there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the arms, releasing the hands and the fingers, and then I'm just going to stay with the wrist. This time I'm going to interlock the fingers, but I'm going to keep my hands together. So I'm going to almost like not press the palms, but keep the palms close together. And then from there, I'm just going to start rolling around. So imagine to be holding a ball in your hands, and then you just kind of like to make the ball roll as much as possible. So see if I can try and work with the full range through the wrist. So if you think of circling both wrists around. So I'm just going to roll. And then see if you can try and reverse the direction. So see if you can try and roll the other way. So in one direction feels easy, feels normal. The other way kind of like feels a bit awkward. So see if I can roll the other way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. Releasing the hands, relaxing through the fingers, and then I'm going to focus on the arms. I'm going to raise the arms up in front of me. It's about the shoulder level. I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to let the arms open out nice and wide. Reach the fingers out, reach the arms out of the shoulder socket, and then I'm going to squeeze them back in the front. So I'm going to open out nice and wide, and then squeeze back in the front. If you're laying down, think of opening up into a big capital T, or if you prefer, into a cross, or whatever works for you. If you're seated, as the arms progressively become heavier, see if you can keep at least your hands in line with the shoulders. So the elbow might bend slightly, but see if I can keep my hands up in line with the shoulders. So try not to let them drop. So I'm going to squeeze them together, and then I'm going to open up nice and wide. Squeeze them together, and then open up nice and wide. Making sure that the chest stays lifted, the head stays lifted, the shoulders are down, so it doesn't feel as if the neck is suddenly tensing and tightening up. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the arms down by the side. I'm going to try the same movement, but I'm going to change the angle. So instead of doing it horizontal to the body or across to the body, I'm going to go diagonally to the body, and then I'm going to switch side. So imagine to have like a spring in your hands. I'm going to keep the hands to the front. I'm going to pull the spring out and across the front of the chest. I'm going to let the spring come back to the middle, and then I'm going to pull it across the other way. I'm going to let it come back to the middle and then pull it across the other way. Come back to the middle and then pull it across the other way. So see if you can think, especially if seated, make sure that both arms are moving the same amount. It doesn't feel as if one arm is going further than the other. So if my back was against the wall, I would want my hands to touch the wall together, and then come back, and then touch together, and then come back. If you're lying down, I'm just going to use the floor as a reference point. So on the back of my arms to touch, pull away, touch, pull away, touch, pull away. If I find that the movement is too big, my shoulder is sore, is painful, then I'm just going to stop before the shoulder starts feeling that discomfort, starts feeling the pain. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms just a little bit. More connection into the shoulder. See if I can work into the hip. I'm going to shuffle the feet and the knees a little bit closer together. Now, imagine to be holding a little olive between the knees. So I'm going to squeeze my knees together. I can feel the inner thighs tensing. Now I'm going to let the olive drop, and then with the right leg, I'm going to start opening to the right. I want the hips to stay level, so I don't want my hips to turn to the right with the leg. The leg is opening as far as I feel I can control it. Then I'm going to close back to the middle. I'm going to squeeze the olive between the knees again, and then I'm going to open up to the left side. So the pelvis is staying still. The left leg is moving. Close back to the middle. Squeeze the olive, and then over to the other side. So each time you come back to the middle, think of squeezing the knees nice and close together. So see if I can really get that tension into the inner thigh before I start opening up to the side. And then same as usual. If I know that the leg is a little bit temperamental today, so it doesn't want to move, struggling a little bit to move whichever direction, out or back in, I'm just going to guide it with the hand. So I'm just going to encourage it to move and come back to open and then close. Squeeze together and then open into the other side. Squeeze together and then open into the other side. 6, squeeze. 5, squeeze. 4, 3, 2, last one, and release. Relaxing the leg, releasing the hip, relaxing the inner thigh, and then changing the direction of the effort. I'm going to try and see if I can go into flexion this time. So I'm going to set the feet just a little bit further apart. It's about hips width apart. If you're sitting on the chair, bring them a little bit closer to the chair so that you can push off the lift. I'm going to pull up on the right leg, and then I'm going to press down on both, and then I'm going to squeeze myself up. Then I'm going to drop back. I'm going to pull up on the left leg, press down on both, and then squeeze my way up, and then ease down. So each time I'm going to try and lift one leg. As I put it back down, I'm going to try and these hips is the weight of the chair as if I was trying to stand up, and then I'm going to sit back down, lift the other leg and repeat. If you're on your back, exactly the same. I'm just going to go into bridge. So I'm going to lift my right leg. I'm going to pop it back down, push down through the soles of the feet, just squeeze in with the back of the hips, driving the hips up into extension. I'm going to ease my way back, lift up the left foot, pop it back down, push down through the feet to squeeze in with the back of the hips, driving the hips up, and then easing back down. And then same as usual. I feel again, the leg is a little bit temperamental. It doesn't want to go up. We're struggling a little bit to come up. I might just use my hands to help me guide this. I might just help it to come up, let it drop back, and then I'm just going to push myself up and then come down. Let the leg come up, let it drop back, push up, and then ease back down. 2 more rounds. So lifting the right, pop it back down, squeeze up, back, lifting the left, pop it down, squeeze up and down. Last round. Right leg down, press the lift and come back. Left leg down, press the lift and release and back. relaxing the legs, so giving the legs a little walk, a little shake. I'm going to give the back of the leg a little bit of a stretch. So if you're sitting on the edge of the chair, I'm going to extend the right leg in front of me, and then keeping it straight, I'm just going to ease the body forward into the leg until I can feel a little stretch going down the back of the leg. If I'm lying down, I'm going to use my strap, my belt around that right foot. I'm going to straighten up the leg and then gently pull it towards me until I can feel the stretch coming down the back of it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing on the stretch, switching side. We're switching the band around the left foot, straightening up the leg, gently pulling it towards you into the stretch, or extending the right leg in front of you if you're seated, and then easing your way forward until you can feel that stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. Relaxing the legs, releasing the hips. If you're lying down, rolling over onto the side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding your comfortable seated position. So as usual, crossing the legs, opening the legs and leaning against the sofa, chair, wall, something that gives a little support. If I need that support, finding the seat bends to see if I can bring myself right up on top of the seat bends. Arms by the side to offer a little support if you need to, and then see if you can create a space all the way up the front of the body. So from the pubic bone to your chin, I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to start lifting up through the front of the chest. I'm going to roll the shoulders back. I'm going to look forward. I'm going to look up. I'm going to try and look back as far as I can. And then I'm going to release and come forward, allowing the chin to drop down to the chest, the shoulders come forward. I'm going to let myself roll down as far as I can, and then lifting back up again. So as much space as possible. So lifting through the chest, rolling the shoulders back, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then easing forward, chin to the chest, the shoulders come forward, rolling your way down. Last time, as much space as you can. So lifting through the chest, roll the shoulders back, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back.